Hello, and welcome to another episode of Contemporary Living Live, where all we do is win, 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 no matter what. I know some of y'all know that song. And we thank you for being part of our winner's circle tonight, because I know the world, you guys, the world is so loud. I mean, it's always pulling at you for you to listen, feel, touch, taste, or see something. But we are glad that you landed right here on Contemporary Living. So together, that means me and you. Let's make the next 60 minutes so amazing. Yes, I want it to be so amazing. So, how was your week? Do you ever ask yourself that question? Contemplate on it. How was your week? I personally have a few more weeks to go before I am done with a 5-month dog tag bakery entrepreneurial fellowship with Georgetown University. You guys, I will tell you, it has been super challenging, super challenging. And all I can say is I'm looking forward to graduation on May 25th. So when May 25th hits, I want you to think of me because I will be graduating. All right. So that's what's going on with me. What about you? You doing okay? I hope you are, because it's a whole lot going on this week. So I'm gonna tell you what I heard. All right. Now, this is what I heard. Chris Brown beat up Usher over Tiana Taylor's attendance to a birthday party that Usher threw for Chris Brown. I mean, that's so interesting, right? Then depending on, where you read it or what you read, they say that, Jamie Foxx is either on his deathbed or he's getting better. I personally don't know. So prayers to him and you and his family and their situation. I mean, it's tough. And I know some of you that are watching may be going through, a family health scare crisis right now. So prayers to you too. Let me see what else is happening. King Charles III, right? I don't know if you guys are watching Bridgerton, but it really helps you understand the situation that's happening over in the UK right now, or Britain, or whatever they're calling it this today. I mean, he was installed as king. His coronation ceremony was this weekend, and I mean, it's so amazing how deep their tradition goes. They keep that tradition going. And I don't know if royalty is effective. I mean, they have a government in place. They have a prime minister. They have a parliament. I don't know the roles. If you know the roles, let me know, because I don't know how it goes. And what else is happening? Kentucky Derby. A horse named Madge wins the Kentucky Derby for 2023. Yes, you guys, I put Kentucky Derby on my bucket list. I want to go. I want to wear that big brim hat. I want to bet on my favorite horse and have some Kentucky Derby cocktails. I mean, while watching the races, that to me that sounds like fun. So I have to make sure me and Andre plan that. I'm putting that on my bucket list. Yeah, that's on my bucket list. And then guess what? Now this right here is very interesting. Just when you thought your personal and private thoughts were safe, here comes AI. Yes. So they now have non-invasive procedure or techniques with AI, and it matches brain scan activities. So what does that mean? So AI can literally read your thoughts and put it on display for other people to see. I mean, we are getting closer and closer and closer to mind reading machines. Like, seriously, you guys, it is definitely coming for us. And guess what? There is no turning back. There is no turning back. In other news, California reparations panel approves payments for, up to $1.2 million for every Black resident. Now let's just see if they'll get it, if they'll pay it out. You know, it's very interesting, and that's very great if that happens. I personally believe, and maybe every state should look into putting a panel together. I just want to see it paid out. I think I'll give more, celebration, or have more celebration once it's paid out. You're gonna get it back, U.S. You're gonna get it back. We're gonna pour right back into these old United States here. But yeah, that's a good thing. But the last thing I want to talk about, what is the last thing I want to talk about? Um, you probably already know this, but as of what, June 1st, the government could run out of cash, which is why I said the thing I said about reparations, because as of June 1st, they could run out of cash. So now it's like a standoff between Democrats and Republicans on whether to borrow money or print more money to pay our bills and avoid, a default. So what does that mean for residents like me, residents like you? If we go into default, I mean, guess what? Living standards automatically go down. It doesn't matter. So if you're at $1 million living standard, guess what? It will decrease, and it will be a significant decrease, and you will notice that decrease. It's going to go down for everyone. It's going to impact everyone. There are going to be higher mortgages, higher credit card payments. I mean, even payments for Social Security, and what I cherish so much, the veterans benefits. They may not get paid. They would not get paid. Your portfolio, your financial portfolio would definitely take a hit as well. I mean, we've had these conversations before, and y'all, it's nothing we can do about it as individual citizens, unless you got like $31 trillion sitting around somewhere. I mean, that you can afford to, like, give to the government. You can give that to the government, we'd be good. But ultimately, it's the politicians that we voted in office who will decide the fate of the economy for the United States. Meanwhile, hold on to your wallets, get educated about what's going on, become more enterprising, and watch your spending. That's really all you can do. Like I said, unless you got $31 trillion sitting around, that would really help the economy in this country. But anyway, enough about all that. It's time for the show, right? To begin, we want to ask you to do one thing. Well, actually, it's more than one thing. And that's to like and share this broadcast. It's free for you to do. It's absolutely free for you to do. And we want you to. So go ahead right now, like and share this broadcast. So tonight, let's talk about our guest. Our guest tonight, I'm so excited. It's been a little while. We've been talking, we've been planning. It's been a little while. It's been a long time coming. Our guest tonight is a hopeless or hopeful. I won't say hopeless. Is a hopeful romantic. Isn't that's such a beautiful place to be in? A hopeful romantic. That never gives up on love, no matter what, and no matter how hard it can be. Because we all, if you've been here longer than a decade, longer than 2 decades, you know how hard love can be. She's tried and failed and will try again at love. That's the hopeful part about it that I love about her. For now, but for now, she is happy to share her stories, and her stories of love and misunderstandings, and also the hilarity. Yes, the hilarity that comes when two people decide to give each other a chance, right? Give them a chance, give her a chance. She is the author of Christmas at Cummings. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Miss Brigitte Carter. Hey there, Brigitte.
Hello. Thank you so much for the introduction.
Oh my goodness. Did you like it?
I did.
I'm
I
glad
did.
you
Thank
did.
you so much.
I'm so glad you did, and I'm so glad and I'm so thankful to. We got to give a shout out to Dr. E, right?
Yes.
So let me just let the audience know, if you come on our show and you give us a recommendation for someone that who you would recommend to be on the show, guess what? We talk to that person, and we set up an interview for that person, because we want this. We are serious when we say we want this to be the platform of champions. Guess what? If Brigitte can do it, you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. And that's really is the simple message. And we're going to talk about all the hard work you put into it, and we're going to talk about everything else. But that really is the platform. So shout out to Dr. E. She came
Yes.
on our show in February, and she was fabulous. Guess what? She had came on before. She's a doula, and she's also doing like heartbreak relationships, how to heal from that. She is just absolutely amazing. I've talked about her a number of times. So thank you, Dr. E, for bringing Brigitte into the contemporary living life. We are so thankful and so grateful that you have done that. But tonight, Brigitte, it is all about you, my lady.
Well, first of all, I want to say congratulations on graduating. That is a amazing
Oh,
thing.
it
It's been a
ain't
long
over.
time
I'm
since I
still
went to
sweating.
school.
I'm still sweating, Brigitte. But yeah, it is. And I have definitely, and what it is, it just shows you how to step your game. What is the next level for you inside your business? I have a online coffee subscription company, and it's in honor of women like yourself, women entrepreneurs, especially women veterans, as I am one myself. And it's in honor of that. And they've shown me how to step my game up. So I can't wait. I talked to my husband. I was like, look, dear, I need a break after this. I need at least 3 days.
Right.
My husband is hard charging. He is hard charging, and he's like, hey, it's time to go. Let me just get 3 days. So we talked about that, and we came to an agreement today. But after that, I will be full force, just like you are now, with your new book, going all traveling all over and doing all these interviews. So the first question I want to ask you, Brigitte, I know you weren't born out the womb writing. How did we get to this portion of our journey in life? How did you arrive at being an author in this portion of your life?
So no, I wasn't born out the womb because I had to learn how to read and write first. But,
Right.
but I do credit my family, especially my mom. I think she's watching. Hey, mom. Anyway,
Hey, mom.
she used to tell me stories, and I so I came out the womb loving stories.
Ah,
I got tired of the little books that she would read to me. My little childhood books. I love them, but she would have to read them over and over again. So it got
right.
to the where she had to make up stories to read to me. And so she said that when I was, 2, 3 years old, I would say, read the story from last night. But she was like, I don't remember that story. So she would have to kind of make up stories. And she is also a writer. And one of my goals is to get her published with the story. Because I used to read her like writings as a kid when I learned how to read. So the really, I guess, push to be a writer happened when I was in third grade, third or second grade. I try to remember, but my teacher had us write poems. I think it was like poetry week or something at school, and my one of the poems I wrote was gray. It was about the color gray. And while most kids were writing roses are red, violets are blue, I love you, love me too, or something like that, my poem, I felt like it's for a second grade, like an 8-year old was full of like melancholy, and but I associated gray also with my grandparents' hair and how gray can
Wow.
be a hopeful color also with the like melancholy, feelings of grayness. And that really, my teacher kind of patted me on the back and made encouraged me in that. And I really felt at that moment maybe I could be a writer, but it was a long haul to get to publishing.
it, it's just amazing when you hear people's stories and how it's so amazing how you're a writer now, but how when you reflect back on your life, the dots have always been connected. And I think if each and every one of us like went back, if we're serving our purpose, I think you have to be serving in your purpose in order to see it. You just can't be on a job that you hate and you don't want to go to, but and tomorrow is Monday. But I think once you're serving in your purpose, and
Mhm.
once you find that you're serving in your purpose, and when you reflect back just like you've done, it's amazing how the dots have always been connected. So there's nowhere to
Right.
go but up, 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 up for
Mhm.
you. I'm so happy for you. So
Thank you.
now let's take a deeper dive. How did you begin writing? Because we went from gray to your grandparents, which is a beautiful thing, and the melancholy of that, to writing romance, because that's not the same. I don't think you were in the third grade or the second grade thinking about romance.
No.
So how did you go there? How did you go from there to there?
So, um, probably in the no, early 2010, so 2010, 2011 is when I started really like joining other groups of writers and all of that. And in 2012, it's a organization that does National Novel Writing Month in November. It's a 30 days. Your goal is to write 50,000 words. And in 2012 is when I wrote my first book. Um, Throughout that, so that's 2012, so it's been 11 years since I wrote my first novel and completed it. But I kind of went through a, what do I want to write, who's my writing voice? And I love to read everything, like almost every genre, now except horror. I read horror when I was a teenager, now I get too scared, but I read everything. So me I spent a lot of years honing my writing voice. Sci-fi and fantasy is my favorite to read.
Oh
And
wow.
I do write under a different pen name in that genre. But with romance, one, when I started doing research on how to make money as an author, because that is important.
Yeah,
You can write passionately, but you also still want to make money. And romance
absolutely.
is still one of those genres that is very popular. People love to read in it. And me personally, I love Hallmark. I love Lifetime. Starting November, you're gonna find me on my couch. My DVR still has Christmas movies saved on that. For when I'm in a bad mood, I have the movie ready to play. So but I was not seeing myself reflected on these movies that I watched or TV shows and all of that when it comes to romance. So I wanted to write myself, and I also wanted to, become make a little money as an author. So that's how I got into writing romance specifically.
Wow. That is really interesting because I watch a lot of Hallmark, so I definitely understand about the whole romance part of it. I love Hallmark in the winter time. I think Hallmark they even start like right after Halloween. They start all of their Christmas shows and things like that. Now,
Hmm.
let's talk about your latest book, Christmas at Cummings. What's that all about?
So Christmas at Cummings follows our main character, Louise. She is the manager of her family's estate, and because of some changes and some expansion she want to do, her family hires a consultant to come in to see if the numbers work. Of course, the consultant is handsome and charming and everything you would want in a book
Like a
boy.
Hallmark movie, Brigitte.
Yes, he is the. I love Carlos as a book boyfriend. He is one of my many book boyfriends. But Louise is not falling for his charms and all of that because she's all about her business.
Right.
Um, she's a plus size black woman. You don't see that a lot on Hallmark. You don't see that at all. I've never seen a plus size black woman. They have one plus size romance that's a white woman, but no plus size black women. Carlos is Latino, so you got kind of the interracial
Uh-huh.
romance going on.
Yeah.
But we follow the story to see if Louise gonna fall for his charms or if she's gonna stay about her business.
That is so good. You know what? I want you guys have to get her book to find out what Louise actually does with Carlos. I mean, it's a wonderful romance novel. Now tell us, what about your books or your stories? How are they different from everything else that we're seeing out there?
So one of the things, especially now that I've kind of gotten into the romance space and trying to connect with other authors, trying to find my reader group, one thing I've noticed is a lot of writers are um, it's a certain type thing, especially because I write what's called closed door or sweet romance. So the most you're gonna get out of my romance is kissing. So if you like the spicy romance, it's a little toned down.
Right,
But one
right.
thing I noticed about that world of closed door and sweet romance, you see a lot of the same women. You see these very bouncy, very bubbly women who they trip, they fall, and all of that, like kind of that cutesy. When we think of romance, you see that
Yeah.
woman, which I respect that
Like
woman. I
us.
respect those writers. Yeah, I respect that, but that's not me. I'm
No, okay.
strong. I'm a hard worker. Like I'm about my business, but I still want romance. I still
Right.
want the Prince Charming. Like just because I may look like an independent woman does not mean I don't want romance. And I think
Mhm.
there's a lot of women out there, a lot of corporate women, a lot of entrepreneur women who still want romance, but they want to see that type of woman fall in love because you see a certain type of woman fall in love, it makes you think that what does that mean I can't fall in love? And yes, we can fall in love.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So it's so funny that you should mention let's talk about society now,
Mm-hmm.
because like you said, that independent woman, that strong woman, or I don't like to use the word strong, but that's what you describe. That resilient woman, the one who just it's got her game together on every
Mm-hmm.
level. Do you think she doesn't attract that type of man, like a man like Carlos, who's perhaps looking for that bubbly, energetic, agreeable type woman?
I think she does.
Mhm.
I all I can do is kind of I put a lot of myself and I put my own life and then the friends that I have because I have a lot of similar women to me in my life, and there are men out there. I know it can seem hard. It can seem hard, especially when you're on the dating sites and all of that, which I'm doing it all, ladies. So if you're single out there, I promise you, I understand. Um, but there are men I think out there who respects that, and because he has his own, because he's strong, because he is who he is, we can stand together. Like those two together are power couples. Like we all respect those, Jay-Z, Beyonce's, we all respect that. President Obama and Michelle, like we respect that, and we know it's possible. So we still dream that it's out there, that he's out, those men are out there, and they're out there.
Yeah. So do you think that because a woman is independent, she's strong, she's all of these things, resilient, do you think she has to lose like her femininity? Can she still be like charming and bubbly and outgoing and all of those things? Do you think, like I'm reminded of, Whitney Houston's song I'm Every Woman, and at times I do feel like that. So
Right.
tell me, what are your thoughts about that?
I think so because I feel like I'm that.
See?
um, even though um being so I will say I'm an older single woman. I'm an elderly millennial. They call us that, which is very insulting. Don't call me elderly. But um so I've had to do a lot of things for myself over the years because if it if I didn't do it, it wasn't going to get done. But
Right.
I think that even through that, I still hold on to my femininity. Me, I'm a girly girl, so people know if you see images of Brigitte, I love a good red lip. I love a sexy little hat. I love dresses. I love all those kind of things. I also um like to take care of people by cooking and baking. So those things are still a part of me. I think um we have a picture sometimes, like society, of that like strong, independent, resilient. I love the fact
Right.
that you resilient instead of strong, because I'm also getting away from that strong black woman thing,
Woo.
and you're not gonna put that on me. I want to be
Right.
soft life too. um but I feel like even in that, we're multidimensional, so you can still have that feminine side of yourself while also taking care of business. And taking care of business is a part of femininity because depending on what your belief system is, I am a Christian, and that Proverbs 31 woman, she had a business while she
She
took
did
care
it
of her.
all, girl. She did
So
it
it's
all.
possible. It's
Did you
hard
say
work, but
so?
it's possible.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you. I mean, I'm 100% with what you're talking about right now. Now, how does your personal life influence your writings?
So, well, one, as a romance writer, hopefully you've experienced a little romance. I've read a lot of books, if nothing else. I love a good romance story. Um, but actually, the past couple of years, because of the pandemic and being inside, um, you kind of, I got a little relaxed. So this year or last year, I made a declaration that I can't find my one or my romance or whatever I'm looking for. I can't find that by sitting on my couch watching Hallmark or reading my books. So I had to step out and start experience romance for myself. And so that definitely has added to my books as far as my characters experiencing some of the especially my next book, kind of experiencing how it is out here in the dating world. And I'm always hopeful, like you said, a hopeful romantic, so I'm not going to disparage the dating world. But it can be difficult. I think a lot of us lost some of our ability to connect with people over the 3 years we were in pandemic, so it's hard navigating that a little bit.
You know what? It's so interesting that you should say that. We lost some of our way with connecting with people, and now with AI and all of these other technology tools that we're getting, I'm hoping that we don't lose that, because that
Mhm.
is so important. I mean, and hopefully they can find it through reading one of your romance novels. Maybe they'll read it and be like, I got to get back out there. But guess
Mhm.
what? We are at the top of the half hour. We are halfway done. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a couple of breaks, and we will be right back with Brigitte Carter. And we are back. And don't forget, you can catch any episode of Contemporary Living on the replay at E360 TV. You can catch us on Facebook, and you can catch us on YouTube. And we encourage you, just to watch, because it truly means a lot to us. It truly means a lot to the businesses and great ideas and the services that we are promoting on this platform. And if you have a service or a business or a product, I mean, you want to promote, you can, make your way to our platform, because we want to make our platform your platform. So come on the show. And don't forget, you can contact us at info@contemporaryliving.com. That's info@contemporaryliving.com. We want to see you on the show. We want to promote your product or your service or your platform. So right now, we are talking to the fabulous author. I know you guys already know that she's fabulous, because we've had 30 minutes with her already, Miss Brigitte Carter. We're gonna bring her back. All right. So Brigitte. So now I'm gonna get into your business right now. What was your biggest lesson learned from your past relationship? What was the biggest lesson? Like, if you could just look at your relationships and say, this is the biggest lesson that I've learned. And this is what I would tell my younger self. Because if you look at relationships today, I don't know. If you're 19, 18, I, you know what? I don't have the degree to talk on it, but I'm gonna speak on it anyway. It's a lot that either is not being taught, or a lot that our children don't understand, that we're not imparting on them. So that's why I like to go back, especially with a romance author like you, because we know romance is good. Romance, because you need your romance in your life. I mean, it keeps you alive. It makes you feel alive. But like you said, some of the reality is that it's not as easy as, reading your book, or potentially watching a Hallmark movie or something like that. So what's the biggest lesson you've learned, and what would you go back and tell your younger self?
So probably would tell my younger self is that there are plenty of books on romance. There are plenty of movies on romance. So if you need romance that bad, I would read a book or watch a movie, instead of being in a romantic relationship with somebody who you know not to be in a relationship with.
That part, Brigitte.
And it ultimately, so the past me, the younger me, I would probably put in counseling and some of the things I've done over the past couple of months or a couple of years earlier. I actually this year had a dating coach. So I would tell my younger self and younger women and men, it's okay to get help for things we don't know. One thing my coach talks about is the fact that for her and a lot of people in her situation and similar to me, is your parents teach you, they're like, stay in school, don't mess with the boys, do what you're
Right.
supposed to, and then you graduate from college because you did what you're supposed to, and now your parents or whatever are like, well, where's the marriage, where's the children? You're like, well, you
Right,
never
right,
taught me how to date. Like,
right,
I
right. Yeah.
personally did not know how to date in a healthy way, so I had to learn, and it took years to do it, and I admitted that I needed help to do it, so I got help. And so I feel like I'm a better dater now.
Oh my goodness, I'm so glad that you promoted, like, in all of that. You did so many things, and just speaking on that. Um because when it comes to, our parents don't necessarily teach us dating. Our parents don't necessarily teach us finance. Those are two critical areas that you carry out throughout your life. But one thing is, like, if you need help, go get help. And that led me to ask you another question. Do you think having a father in the household matters?
I it does. It helps. It definitely helps me. I did it. My father passed when I was younger, and like that was a missing kind of connection to have that to be taught how to be treated by a man.
Hmm. Right.
I think, and so for women, I think having that connection with your father and having a healthy father, like, because that make a difference too. Because I've seen people who had their father in their home, but their father wasn't a healthy father to them, and
Right.
so that
Right.
makes a difference too. But to have a healthy father, a father that is trying his best and not, teaching you the best he can, it does help for you to learn how to be treated by a man. And so
Oh,
even
yes.
reverse with men, because I've come across men in my lifetime who have not had the best relationship with their mothers, and that makes a difference. So knowing how to be treated by that opposite sex through a parent to show you the caring that they do to their spouse, your other parent, but also to know this is how I want to be treated, or this how I don't want to be treated when I get in a relationship myself.
That is so awesome. Thank you so much for that. So now, how do you create your characters? You've got so much experience to draw from. So how do you create your own characters? Because I mean, this is a 1 and 3 part series, right? Christmas
Right.
at
Yeah.
Cummings. So it's one and
Mhm.
3 part series. So we're going to learn more about, I mean, it's going to extend past Carlos and Luis. So it's going to extend past that. So how do you create these characters?
I when people ask me that question, I get where, like, in olden days they used to say my muse, um, because it's kind of hard to describe. I think you always start with yourself as a basis of inspiration. I feel like as far as Louise, she's more of my business side. She's more of that serious side of me. But the next story is Harper, who is more of the fun part of me. Like, Harper is the dater. She's the one that if she love him and she leave him. Like, she's more that side of. So a lot of times I'm pulling from parts of myself, but I also pull from my friends. I have a Harper in my life. She's probably watching now, so I'm not gonna say her name. Who
Hey,
she
Harper.
loves.
Harper knows who she is, though, doesn't she?
She knows who she is. Loves, she loves men and she likes being around them. Um, so, like, you also pull from the people around you, the people you love, and then sometimes, like, one of my favorite characters from Christmas at Cummings is Jamal. He is Louise's cousin, and just how Jamal's story kind of unfolded on, more
Yeah.
than I expected. So much so that I'm writing like a mini story about his love story that I'll be releasing for free to people over I think in the next couple of months. So sometimes the characters create themselves, which a lot of people, because the characters will talk to you outside of what you want them to do.
Wow.
Sometimes you're like, I want you to do this, and they're like, no, I'm gonna do this. So it's very interesting being a writer, especially fiction.
I like I said, like my book is based on interviews. So when I hear you talk about how you develop your characters, how they really speak at you, I am really blown away because you are literally like having conversations with your characters. Like your character said, no, this is not what I would do. So do you believe in a such thing as a writer's block when you're processing and when you're writing? What's that all about, or how do you perceive that term writer's block?
I definitely believe in writer's block because I have experienced it quite a few times in my life. Um, for me, writer's block has to do a lot with other things that's going on in my life a lot of times. Writing is like that connection a lot with my spirit.
Mm-hmm.
It's that freedom, that release, that creativity. So for me, that block a lot of times can be life things. It can be what's going on in my mental health sometimes. So I definitely believe in writer's block. And getting over that, I think, is different for different people.
Hmm.
Um, but the key to it is finding out why you think you're blocked.
Okay. That is really deep what you said, because it all comes kind of like down to, and I'm like Dr. E just keeps popping up in my head. It's about self-care, because when you have writer's block, as long as you know what is, when you can identify what it is, you can take the steps toward repairing or healing or whatever it needs. So sometimes you do need, like you said, a coach or a therapist or something like that, to help guide you through that process. So I'm just loving this. This is such a beautiful interview. But the next question I want to talk about is, just really self-publishing versus traditional publishing. How do you publish, and which do you prefer, and why?
So I am a self-published author, and I personally took that route because I have created a lot of author friends over the years. And the one thing about self-publishing that I like is that it's faster. So traditional publishing, while the costs are usually taken over by the publisher, the especially with the big time, the big, we know the big
Yes.
publishing houses,
Yes.
a lot of times they have their roster of releases like 2-3 years in the future. So say I
Oh,
was picked up by a big publishing company within the next few months, my books probably won't be out for another 2 to 3 years, because it
oh,
has to fit into their already processed schedule. And unless I'm like a super mega superstar
yeah,
with a name already, my
yeah,
books, I have to grow a following. So for
right.
me, self-publishing, even though a lot of the costs are in my pocket up front, and I see
Mhm.
the returns late, like I get 100, I get not 100 because I do
Yeah,
go through Amazon and other, so I get 60% of those revenues off the bat. But it's also, I can create when I want to publish my book. So like I got a book coming out in July. It's a Christmas book. It's coming in
woo,
Christmas in July because that's what I want to do, and I don't have to. My publishing company don't have to say, well, that doesn't make sense because it's July.
right,
We gotta wait. I don't have to wait. I can just go.
right.
So it kind of depends on like how much work you want to put into it. And even though self-publishing is more work, you still got to do a lot of marketing even when you're traditionally published.
Yeah, that was a brilliant answer. So self-publishing, it sounds like, because you don't want to have to write a book and then have it sit for 2 and 3 years, and then it comes out, because then you have to get that same energy you had in creating it. You got to get it back up, 2 or 3 years later, because it's about to actually be published. So self-publishing does seem like the way to go. My book, Army Strong Women, was also self-published as well. Now, if someone wanted to, or had the desire to want to become an author like you, what advice would you give them?
Definitely have a goal. One of the biggest thing that has helped me over the past year to actually keep pushing is knowing my why. A lot of business people probably know this. If you go through business courses, which I have gone through a lot of business courses and a lot of writing courses, one thing is to always have your why in front of you, like put it up, have it all over the place. Because when things get hard, when the road gets rough, when you paid a lot of money out and the money's not coming in as fast as you need it to,
Yeah,
you need to understand your why in order to keep going. When the writer's block hit and you have to know your why. So that's the first thing I'll tell somebody to do is write down your why of why you're writing this book.
oh wow, okay. That is beautiful. So here's how we contact you: at BrigitteCarterAuthor.com. That's Brigitte, carterauthor.com. So tell me this in our final question, what's next for you?
So right now I am working on the part two of the story. So Louise, when you read Christmas at Cummings, you're gonna learn about her two best friends. One is Harper, the second one is Angie. The next story that's coming out is Harper's love story. So anybody who reads romance know that there are certain tropes. I love a good trope. If you read romance, you gotta love a
Now,
good
what's a
trope.
trope for those who don't know?
So a trope is like stories that are you see over and over again. So in
Right.
romance, so you may see the best friends turn into lovers, enemies into lovers, which Christmas Day Cummings is kind of the enemies to lovers because Louise does not like Carlos, so that's her enemy. But with Harper, that's gonna be like best friend kind of thing because she has a best guy friend. They've been friends since elementary school. He's been in love with her since elementary school. But like I said, she's been exploring and loving guys and all of this. And but he's always been that constant. And so we're gonna follow her story of is she's really what is stopping her from wanting to settle down with one person, and he feels like he's the person she's to settle down with.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh wow. I can't wait for that. So now where can we catch your books?
So if you go to my website, BrigitteCarterAuthor.com, the book links will all be there. Christmas at Cummings is on Amazon, so you can get the ebook. You can also, for those of you that like physical books, because that's there too, you can
Yeah.
also buy the physical book. If you order from the website out, you can get signed physical books from me.
Awesome. Well, are there any last words? Because guess what? We're done. We are done. Are there any last words that you want to leave with our audience?
Just if you are a writer or an aspiring writer, I just want to encourage you to keep pushing. Life is hard. Trust me. I told you all I wrote my first book in 2012. It's still not published, but I still have it in my back pocket. One day it will be published. And it took me 10 years to finally get to the place where I'm ready to release my work. So, one, don't give up and keep going.
That is amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the interview. I know, I'm hoping to have you back later this year when your second book comes out. And again, thanks to Dr. E just for making this introduction. I'm so glad. And my life is better meeting you and
Oh,
having
thank
you in.
you.
So
Same.
thank you so much. So let's all say thank you and goodbye to author Brigitte Carter. It's not really goodbye, it's until next time. So thank you
Yes.
so much. All right, Brigitte. Bye bye.
Bye.
You guys, that was so much fun. I mean, know your why. Yes, she said know your why. I take notes. Know your why, have a goal. Don't forget her book 2 is coming out. You can get it right now if you go to Amazon or you go to BrigitteCarterAuthor.com. Her book is Christmas at Cummings. Christmas at Cummings. So hey, that was a great interview. I love interviewing people and just having them talk about their life story and what they do and the purpose that they serve in life. It's just important for me to get that out there. And I want to leave you with this to think on for the next week. And and what I want you to think about is knowing how to distinguish your choices from your decisions. Yes, your choices from your decision. So for a long time, I thought, those words were interchangeable. Your choice, your decision, blah, blah, blah. But they're really quite different. A decision is a conclusion, or a resolution reached after consideration, when faced with two or more possibilities. And there's a Latin word for it, is decidere or something like that, and that means to cut off all possibilities. That is what a decision is. So for instance, I just really want to give the example, my health. I don't know if you guys know this, but I start a diet every Monday. Oh no, I don't decide. I make a choice, because by Tuesday I'm changing my mind. I don't want to do the diet anymore. I don't want to have a healthy lifestyle. But it's necessary. But until I make the decision, that means cutting off all other possibilities to do anything else. My choices will be different. So if I decide that tomorrow I will begin a healthy lifestyle, then when Monday comes, I should be making healthy choices when it comes to breakfast, lunch, and dinner. On Tuesday, I should do the same thing. So a choice is, choosing between one or the other, but a decision is cutting off all other possibilities. So, what have you been doing? Have you been making choices, or have you been making decisions? Those are really distinguishable words, and I want you to think about that during this week. Am I choosing or am I deciding? Because those are two separate things. And as always, we thank God for his unmerited, undeserving favor, grace, and mercy and blessings that he gives to each and every one of us every day, so freely. He's such a wonderful God. And as believers, we believe that Christ died, he was buried, and rose again on the third day for our justification. And I encourage you, as I always will, to increase your confidence, and faith in God through his word, through prayer, and begin to be a living example of all that God has created you to be. And on behalf of myself and my wonderful husband, Andre the Realtor, be brilliant, be you, be blessed. We'll see you here live in 2 weeks. Bye bye.